What's up, entire Nouns community? I wanted to make a little video to help you understand the fun and nuance of curling. A friend of mine, the guy who designed all this artwork for you, showed me a great animated video that really explains curling well. And then I'm going to pause it in a couple places to give you the nuance. So when you watch the Olympics next with curling or any curling competition, you'll actually know what's going on, and you'll see why it's called chess on ice. So with that said, let's take a look.
Curling, the game with the ice, and the rocks, and the sweeping, and the yelling. Each game starts with a handshake and a coin flip to determine who goes first. Then, two teams of 4 people take turns throwing 44-pound stones down a sheet of ice. The target? A 12-foot house that looks like a bullseye, just under 150 feet away. Each team throws 8 rocks, and the team closest to the center after all the rocks are thrown will score the points. This process is repeated for 6 to 10 rounds, called ends, until one team is victorious. It's just that simple. Or is it? Each team has a captain called the skip. Like a general on the battlefield, the skip calls the shots that will best ensure victory. Stones are delivered with a predetermined rotation, so they actually curl as they travel down the ice. Of course, this is why the sport is called curling. Over the course of each end, players can throw guards to block the house, draw.
So this is interesting. I wanted to stop it right here. These guards cannot be hit until the 6 stones. Back in the 80s, it used to just be hit. And people, it was a guard or in the house, they would just keep hitting it. But now you cannot hit the guard till the 6th stone, which makes the game so much more fun because whether it's your stone or theirs, you can curl the stone behind and you've got blocking, or you can use it to bump up later. But that was a huge innovation that made this game super fun and way, way more strategic than just who could hit the best and not make a mistake. This line right here is called the hog line. The stone must cross that line in order to be considered in play.
To try to score, or takeouts to remove the opponent's stones. The skips then spend the rest of the time yelling like a crazy person. What they're actually doing is emphatically advising their players to brush the ice in front of the stone. Brushing can drastically affect the speed and direction of the shot.
So I want to pause it right here too about sweeping. That's a huge important point in why this game is so strategic. The more the sweepers sweep, the more they can drag the stone further. So actually the really good teams with really good sweepers, the shooter, if they want to aim for the button, which is the bullseye, which is where your Nouns and Noggles are on our sponsorship ice, the more they sweep, the further it goes. And the pros can even sweep it an extra like 12 feet. So the shooter actually wants to throw a little lighter to allow the sweepers more control. The other element I want to point out here is when you sweep, it generally stays straighter. You can curl it once it starts curling, but that's kind of more high level. Generally, it goes further and straighter. So if you're trying to get past a guard up top and go behind it, you might be sweeping for line to try and avoid hitting it. But once you get past it, obviously you want it to slow down enough where it stays, as close to the center or the bullseye as possible. So there's a lot of variables that go in, and the skip is thinking about both of those. The sweepers are saying, hey, I think it's back of the house. I think it's through the house. So the skip might actually, especially in club curling, change his shot to be like, okay, well, maybe I can hit this one instead. So you don't want to do audibles, but the more information, the more communication the team has, the better the skip can make kind of the audible call to make the best shot possible.
After each team throws its 8 shots, the team closest to the center of the house will score. Or, if they have more than 1 rock closer than the opposition, they count as well.
So I want to pause here too. This one's really important because if you don't understand scoring, it's not very fun to watch and it just looks like a skip screaming at people. So in this case, you see red is certainly the closest to the button or the center. So red definitely gets 1. only one team scores per end. So if blue was next closest, red would only get one. And if red has the last shot or hammer, which gives you a huge advantage, blue holding red to one is generally really good. In this case, red has one, and then it's hard to tell which one's closer here, but it doesn't matter because they're both red. So 2, 3, because there's 3 red stones and no blue stones inside. Let's say blue was going last right now, then blue would be shooting, trying to just get one in here closest to the bullseye against the 3 red. So red, regardless, would have been very successful here because even if blue makes that shot, red held them to 1. So the scoring, again, is very, very important, but it's whoever has the closest stone to the center scores, and then however many stones they have as the second, third, or fourth, or even fifth closest. If you get all 8 of your closest, it's called an 8-ender. It's kind of, the analogy is kind of like a hole-in-one in golf. If all 8 red stones were inside the blue stone. Now, one other thought, let's say there was no stones in here except for just this red on the back here. It's just biting the 12-foot. That's still just 1 point. So again, just because this one's closer to the center, that the bullseye isn't 5 points. Everything is 1 point, but you want as many stones as you can to be closest to the center.
Once all the ends have been played, whoever has the most points wins. Aside from a few dozen other minor details, that's all there is to it. Find a curling facility near you and get started.
All right, now I'm just going to answer just a couple questions because these are the funniest questions we get in curling that we laugh about. And then just so you know, I'm asking curlers about nouns, and there's also reciprocal funny things that our assumptions are just them having no clue about what nouns are. And we're trying to explain it to them as we go to our curling club and future curling clubs. Number 1, we do not bring our own curling stones to the club. So we are not carrying 2 42-pound bags to the curling club like bowling ball bags. No, the stones are already at the club. You pay a membership to the club, and then the club buys those stones. They can last like 20 years. Most of them are from this little teeny island made of granite called Ilsa Craig off the shores of Scotland. And they use those stones. They're the best stones in the world for curling because they're super elastic and buoyant. So there's probably other properties in granite, because some granite, you throw 2 granite countertops together, they're probably going to smash and break and crumble apart, whereas these are very buoyant, so they can smash each other over and over and over and not break. So interesting little thing there. So no, we do not bring our own curling stones. They are at the club, and a set, like if you have 4 sheets of ice, a set is tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars, probably like $30,000 or $40,000 for the entire curling club. So they last, you take care of them, but we do not bring our own. The funniest question we get to is, are you the sweeper or the shooter? I can't, as a curler, you can't imagine anything more boring than if you were just the sweeper and you never get the payoff to shoot. So what really happens is the lead shoots first. So let's see, the blue team has the hammer, gets to go last. The lead on the red team, she would go first. The lead on the blue team would go second. She would throw her second stone as the third stone, then him, and you keep rotating until you get to the skips. Now the sweepers, she and the second are sweeping for everybody because they're always sweeping, except when they're shooting, obviously. The vice skip sweeps for the lead and the second, but holds the broom in the house when the skip goes down to shoot for his turn. So the skip never sweeps. The skip is just calling strategy and line calls from the house until they shoot their stones. So that was another misconception. Everybody gets to throw 2 stones per end. If we didn't, I don't think it would be very difficult to convince people just to come out and sweep for, be like, hey, I'm the best shooter and I get to throw all 8 rocks per round. That does not happen. And that's it. That's all the questions. If you have any other questions, throw them out and let me know. But I wanted to educate you because watching curling in the Olympics, now that you understand, especially the scoring, makes it really, 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 really fun. So love the sponsorship. Thank you. And we're going to keep sending you cool information like this. So enjoy. Bye-bye.